He had everything: wealth, power, and success. But when he went undercover as a homeless man to see how people truly treated others, one waitress's unexpected kindness changed his life forever. The cold night air bit at Ethan Lawson's skin as he pulled his ragged coat tighter around himself. It was strange, being invisible. He had spent years as the face of Lawson Enterprises, a name everyone recognized. Yet here he was, unshaven, clothes tattered, sleeping on a sidewalk bench, and nobody even looked at him. Ethan had chosen this experiment himself. He wanted to know the truth. He had spent too long in boardrooms, surrounded by people who only showed respect because of his wealth. But how did people treat those who had nothing? He had been on the streets for 2 days now, watching the world move around him. People avoided eye contact. Some sneered in disgust, and others simply walked past like he didn't exist. It was humbling. And then, on the third day, he met her. The small diner on the corner wasn't fancy, just a quiet place where tired workers grabbed meals at the end of their shifts. Ethan had been sitting outside for hours, hoping for some spare change, when the door swung open and a waitress stepped out. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with tired eyes but a kind face. Her uniform was worn, her shoes scuffed, but she carried herself with quiet strength. She walked straight up to him, holding a takeout box. "Hey," she said softly. "You hungry?" Ethan blinked up at her, caught off guard. Nobody had spoken to him like that in days. She smiled and placed the food beside him. "It's fresh. You don't have to dig through the trash for dinner tonight." His throat tightened. She thought he was truly homeless. Ethan had expected indifference, cruelty, maybe even kindness from a distance. But this was genuine compassion. And he had no idea that this one act of kindness was about to change both their lives forever. Ethan stared at the takeout box in front of him, his mind struggling to process what had just happened. This woman, this waitress, had helped him without hesitation. No cameras, no audience, no expectation of anything in return. She had no idea who he really was. He looked up at her, searching for something. A sign that she was doing this for show, for pity, for some kind of personal validation. But all he saw was genuine kindness. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice rough from hours of silence. The waitress smiled, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "Mia." "Mia," Ethan repeated, as if testing how it felt on his tongue. "Why are you doing this?" Her brows furrowed. "Because you're hungry?" He let out a small chuckle, shaking his head. "Most people just walk past." Mia sighed, sitting on the bench beside him. "I know." She glanced toward the street, watching the endless stream of people moving past them. "My dad. He lost his job when I was a kid. We were one rent payment away from being homeless. If it weren't for a few kind people, I don't know where we would have ended up." Ethan's chest tightened. She understood. "I work double shifts to stay afloat," she continued, shrugging. "But if I can afford a meal, I can afford to share one." Ethan studied her carefully. She wasn't rich. She wasn't giving from abundance. She was giving despite having so little herself. Before he could respond, the diner's door swung open and a sharp voice called out, "Mia, break's over." She winced. "I gotta get back." Ethan nodded, watching as she stood. But before she left, Mia glanced back at him. "Come by tomorrow, okay? I'll have something warm for you." Then she disappeared into the diner, leaving Ethan sitting there, staring after her, completely shaken. She had no idea that the man she had just shown kindness to was one of the wealthiest CEOs in the city. And tomorrow, everything would change. Ethan barely slept that night, lying awake on the cold bench, replaying the moment over and over in his head. Mia had given him kindness without knowing who he was. She had nothing to gain, no ulterior motive, just a good heart. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something stir inside him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. By morning, he had made up his mind. He returned to the diner just as the sun peeked over the skyline. The place was already buzzing with early customers, construction workers, office employees grabbing coffee before their shifts. He lingered outside, watching through the window until he spotted her. Mia was balancing a tray of coffee cups, dodging tables with practiced ease. Her uniform looked even more worn under the fluorescent lights, but her face held the same quiet determination. She worked hard. Harder than most people he knew in corporate offices. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped inside. The moment she saw him, her face lit up. "You came back," she said, setting her tray down. He nodded, unable to fight the small smile tugging at his lips. "Told you I would," Mia grinned. "Hold on." She disappeared into the kitchen, returning a minute later with a warm plate of food. "This one's on me." Ethan stared at the plate. Eggs, toast, bacon. A real meal. Not just scraps, not just leftovers. His throat tightened. She had no idea she was feeding a billionaire. He took a bite, savoring the warmth, the care that had gone into making it. "Best meal I've had in a long time," he said truthfully. Mia laughed. "You must have been eating in the wrong places then." Ethan chuckled, shaking his head. "You'd be surprised." She leaned against the counter, watching him. "So, what's your story?" He hesitated. He wasn't ready to tell her the truth. Not yet. "Just trying to get by," he said simply. Mia nodded, accepting his answer without pushing. "Well, you're welcome here anytime." Ethan set his fork down, looking at her seriously. "Why do you do it?" She blinked. "Do what?" "This," he gestured around. "Helping people. Giving when you don't have much yourself." Mia shrugged. "Because someone has to. Because someone has to." Ethan had spent his life around billionaires, CEOs, people who calculated every move based on profit. Mia was nothing like them. And he had the power to change her life. But before he did, he wanted to know more about the woman who had unknowingly changed his. Ethan spent the next few days visiting the diner, learning more about Mia while keeping his true identity hidden. She worked tirelessly, pulling double shifts, always putting others before herself. She never complained, never asked for help, just kept pushing forward, no matter how exhausted she looked. And the more he got to know her, the more Ethan realized he had never met anyone like her before. One night, after the diner closed, Mia stepped outside and found Ethan still sitting on the bench. She sighed, rubbing her arms against the cold. "You should go somewhere warm," Ethan smirked. "What, and miss my 5-star sidewalk view?" Mia rolled her eyes but smiled. "I'm serious. You don't belong out here." Ethan's smirk faltered. She had no idea how true that was. He exhaled. "What about you, Mia? You work your tail off every day. What's your dream?" Mia hesitated, staring at the city lights. "To open my own cafe someday. A place where people like you," she gestured at him, "don't get ignored, where everyone feels welcome." Ethan's chest tightened. She wanted to help people, even when she had so little herself. She shook her head, laughing softly. "But dreams don't pay bills, right?" Ethan studied her for a long moment. Then, finally, he made a decision. "I'll see you tomorrow?" she asked, turning to leave. Ethan smirked. "Yeah, but tomorrow, things might look a little different." Mia frowned in confusion, but before she could question him, he gave her a wink and walked away. Because tomorrow, he was coming back as the man he truly was. And he was about to change her life forever. The next morning, the diner was packed as usual. Mia rushed between tables, balancing trays, refilling coffee cups, completely unaware that today was about to be different. Then, the door swung open, and the room fell silent. Mia turned, expecting just another customer, but her breath caught in her throat. Standing in the doorway wasn't the scruffy, quiet man she had been feeding for the past week. It was Ethan Lawson, not the homeless man, the billionaire. Dressed in a sharp-tailored suit, his hair neatly styled, he looked completely different. But his eyes, the way he looked at her, were the same. Mia's heart pounded. "Ethan?" He stepped forward, slipping his hands into his pockets, giving her that same smirk. "Morning, Mia." The whispers started instantly. "That's Ethan Lawson, CEO of Lawson Enterprises." "What's he doing here?" "Wait, why is he talking to Mia?" Mia took a shaky step back. I don't understand. Ethan exhaled, his voice softer now. I didn't lie to you, Mia. Everything I told you was real, except for one thing. She swallowed hard. You're a billionaire. Yeah, he admitted. And I needed to see the world differently. To see people for who they really are, not for what they think I can give them. His expression turned serious. And you? You're the only person who saw me, not my status. Mia's hands trembled. So, what happens now? Ethan smiled. Now, I keep my promise. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of keys. Mia's brows furrowed. What is that? He held them out. Your cafe? The room gasped. Mia froze. What? She whispered. Ethan chuckled. I bought a building, renovated it. It's yours, Mia. No more double shifts. No more struggling. He took her hand, pressing the keys into her palm. Your dream starts today. Tears welled in her eyes. I I can't accept this. Ethan leaned in, his voice soft. You gave when you had nothing, Mia. Let someone do the same for you. She looked up at him, eyes full of emotion. Why would you do this? His smirk softened. Because someone has to. Mia let out a shaky laugh, the same words she had said to him that first night. She looked at the keys in her hand, then back at him. And in that moment, she realized. This wasn't just about a cafe. This was about something bigger. Maybe even love.